Sometimes life slows you down because you are going 100 miles per hour and you're about to burn and crash. Life knows what it's doing. People, not always. Not so much. Oftentimes, they have no idea. Even when you have a goal that you're striving for, sometimes the door closes in front of you, not because you don't deserve it, but because you're not meant to go there yet. And thus we must learn to listen to the whispers of our intuition. And everyone is intuitive, I don't care what anybody says. We all have a gut feeling that we either listen to or we don't. And it's really a choice. And sometimes it's an unconscious choice, and the unconscious choices come from the learned behaviors, the patterns that we've picked up while we were growing up. So everyone is intuitive. Not everyone knows how to listen to intuition. And besides being a choice, it's also a muscle. It's something that we learn to do, something we can get better at. Getting better at listening to ourselves. I, for the most part of my life, did not know how to listen to myself. Not only that, I knew not to listen to myself. I knew to go the opposite direction from my intuition because that's how I've been raised and taught. And that's not to blame anybody. I don't. I think it's a dangerous path to blame people. Of course, sometimes there's anger, resentment that you have to work through, but I'm not speaking from that place when I talk about it. I'm talking about the fact that I had to actively learn how to listen to myself, how to listen to my gut feelings. There's also a theory that women are more intuitive than men, but I don't know if that's true. And then there's people to remind you that you need to listen to your intuition. That's why I'm here to remind you of who you are and who you're meant to be. And who you're meant to be is it's an adventure, it's a journey, it's something that you are always becoming. So sometimes you have to pause and look not on the outside, on the outstretching horizon, but instead look within yourself. And it's become such a cliche. Everyone's talking about look within yourself, look beyond the material, but nobody really knows how to do it, do we? Or I suppose I shouldn't say that. I always say things I shouldn't say. And that happens to all of us. Not everyone knows how to do it right, how to look within yourself. And there are people out there, of course, that are quite masterful, that skill and understanding yourself, and there's people who are still learning. So when you look into the void for long enough, the void stares back at you, and what do you see? Now that's something from Nietzsche, not the last part of it. The last part of it is my question to you. Well, let me reread that again so that you know what I'm talking about. When you look into the void for long enough, the void stares back at you, and what you see is not a hopeless pit, but the world's darkness, because we all have darkness, shame, guilt, and yet we go for this life pretending that we can be perfect. But it is the beauty of being human, that we are imperfect, that we are flawed. That's how we're different from computers. It's how we're different from one another, really. And I think that understanding that there's darkness within all of us, that realization that Solzhenitsyn once said, I can't remember exactly how the quote goes, but you can look it up, Solzhenitsyn. He was a Russian author and a prisoner of gulags, talked about evil being a fine line that runs through all human hearts. And I believe that to be true. And when you start meditating, and when I say looking into the void, that's looking into yourself, that's meditating, that's sitting down in silence, you start to understand that you have all these really strange thoughts and feelings. And it's not to say that there aren't bad people and good people in the world. It's to say that all of us have a little bit of each inside of us. And when we start differentiating between good and evil, and this person's bad because that's what they believe, and this person's good because that's what they believe, we come into a very dangerous point in life. We come into a very dangerous point in humanity. We actually forget humanity. We forget who we are and who we're really meant to be. And again, I'm here to remind you who you're meant to be. Who are you meant to be? You're meant to be somebody who's kind, beautiful, generous. What is the meaning of life? It's to have a purpose. And what is the purpose? And have you ever noticed that one of the biggest business advices anyone ever gives you is not to create a business or not to create a piece of art that is the most beautiful, masterful? No, it's to create something that is of service to other people, because we're meant to be of service to each other. That's what we're here for. And that's when people feel the most meaningful. That's how you come out of depression. That's how you come out of anxiety, is when you realize that you actually matter. And when you realize you actually matter is when you are of service to others. So it's important to remember that, and it's important not to put people into these categories of bad and good. This person's bad because he's doing this thing, this person good because he's doing that thing. We don't know the full story, the full equation of anything. Even when you think you know someone, even when you live with somebody, they don't always understand why they do what they do. So how can you understand that? And it's also not to say, one, it's not to victim blame, and two, it's not to excuse anyone's evil and cruel behavior. Don't ever let anyone treat you badly. That's not okay. You have to set a boundary, but how do you set a boundary? As gentle as humanly possible in your situation, as gentle as humanly possible, because it speaks more about you, not about them. It speaks more about you, how you see the world, how you treat other people. We don't want to be divided, because there is a reason why Julius Caesar said divide and conquer. There's a reason why he had this strategy, this military strategy on how to rule and how to command his own cities, his own people, his own civilians, is to divide and conquer. Challenge yourself. Find one person you don't actually like, or you don't like what they think, even if it's a public figure, and write one thing, just one thing, that you have in common with them. You know, it's, and I've been having these thoughts all past last week before the weekend and the news, and I don't want to comment on the news because it doesn't matter. It's not what we're here for. But it is important to keep in mind, in the back of your mind, of how quickly we jump to conclusions before we actually find out the full story. And how quickly we try to be the voice of the justice when we don't need to. The best thing you can do in any crisis, is any situation, is to do what you came here to do what you're meant to do, and whatever that is, whether it's baking cupcakes, or making paintings, or writing poetry, or helping people in an old people's home, like whatever it is that calls you, and you know what calls you. You might be oblivious to it at one point in life, but there's that voice inside of yourself that tells yourself that you are either not good enough, or it's a crazy idea, or nobody wants that kind of product, nobody wants that out there because everything is so congested. But it's not true. It's not congested because you are quite unique. I have been waiting to continue to do this podcast for many, many years. And I have been waiting for someone else to say what I want to say. It's crazy, I know, it sounds really wild, but I have been sitting there waiting for someone else to do that thing that I wanted to do, because I thought that maybe if they did, I wouldn't have to, but it didn't happen. And that's because, and no one will do what you were meant to do. Like they do, there's a theory that ideas are not, whatchamacallit, we don't possess our ideas, that we catch them kind of in the air, right? And then we put this idea together, and if you didn't do it, someone else would pick it up and do it. They would, but they wouldn't be exactly what you're thinking about. That it would be slightly different. So in saying this, think about all of the wonderful things that exist in the world that help you, and think about the fact that someone might have not sat down and did that because they were scared, or because they had insecurities, or because they had anxiety, depression, panic attacks, which I have experienced. And I'm happy to talk about it because, like, honestly, even talking about it right now, I don't even flinch anymore, because I've been preparing to be so open and honest, I feel like, and I've been so open and honest with my friends and family about everything I went through. Knowing that the world knows this doesn't scare me anymore. So taking it, doing it in increments, and doing it step by step, and doing whatever it is that you want to do. It's like, if you're a painter and you're too afraid for people to see your paintings, maybe just start showing your friends, or without one safe friend. Like, we all know those people that are safe to show art. We all know the people that are not ready for art. Or put your paintings somewhere in a cafe. Like, bring it to a cafe and say, can I please put it up here without a name, and see if anyone buys it. Like, do smallest steps, even smaller than I just described. And then get out of that mindset that no one needs your art. People need your art. Especially now with AI coming through, which I think is going to be beautiful and wonderful and horrible at the same time. I think it's going to be both. People are asking all around, like, is it going to be great? It's like the internet. I know you, the younglings, Padawans, you don't remember the internet when it first arrived, but I slightly remember. I was born in the 90s, and people were freaking out about the internet. Then they were freaking out about YouTube. Then they were freaking out, and then once YouTube came around, like social media, people got used to that kind of, so there wasn't that much fear on social media. Like, but even then, even a couple of years ago when TikTok came through, people were freaking out that TikTok's stealing your data. Of course it's stealing your data. Everyone is stealing your data. Okay? They're all doing it. But you can't live in fear. Because what happens when we all live in fear is this. We are in a moment of crisis in the world. And sometimes I wish I could ask someone, hey, what should I write? What should I record my podcast about? And that's why ChatGPT can be so tempting, because no one wants to feel alone in their thoughts. We all want to ask, what should I create? What should I do? Someone else. We want to put the responsibility onto someone else, but try not to tempt yourself. Use AI responsibly. Don't give it away your art. I bought some oracle cards the other day. I have so many. It helps with my anxiety, especially like shuffling the cards. And I opened it, I was hugely disappointed, because you could feel that AI wrote. Like, you could feel it. It's AI. We all kind of know it's AI for now. Like, I feel like maybe even next year we won't be able to tell the difference. Who knows? It's still kind of uncanny valley. But the image, I don't want to tell you which oracle card, because I don't want to be mean to the artists. Hopefully, as they grow in their artistry, they won't be using these tools. Like, you can use it to edit, maybe, Ask a question, but don't use it to write the whole thing. I know I'm talking to a robot. These are not cards that are connected to the soul, spirit, the divine, the universe. So ChatGPT is going to be tempting because no one wants to feel alone in their thoughts. I'm repeating myself. Sometimes it's important to repeat yourself so that the thought really lands. But sometimes it's a good idea that we're alone. Sometimes it's good to be alone. Sometimes it's nice to be alone. Sometimes we need to be alone with our own thoughts. And no one wants to be uncomfortable, and that's fair. That's why we have all these technologies. That's why we invented the dishwasher that, by the way, broke in my house. I'm trying to fix it. We kind of like taped it with duct tape. Very Kiwi ingenuity right here. If you guys don't know what Kiwi ingenuity is and you're from America, it just means New Zealand ingenuity. It means engineering ingenuity. But anyway, hopefully we'll get that fixed. This is an old house. It's kind of falling apart a bit, but I love it and I'm really grateful I get to live here. Actually, I'm not angry at the dishwasher. I just think it's funny. But that's why we create this, and that's why we have heaters, so that we are comfortable at home. But the problem with that is that we have become so comfortable that now people can easily access dopamine in the form of, like, even social media. I have noticed I'm really addicted, so I'm trying to wane myself off. And it's just fair. It's fair. It's good to be self-aware, and I'll let you guys know how it goes. But it's become too simple, and that's not actually real dopamine. Real dopamine comes from doing something very difficult, and your brain kind of rewards itself for it. That's why it feels different. That's why dopamine that comes from video games and social media is kind of empty. Like, by the way, I'm not talking about specifically video games. Like, I know some people actually build a career on video games. I think that dopamine might feel different because you're actually doing something in real life. Like, you're not just achieving in a game. This is your life, and this is your career, and this is your job. I think that may be different. I don't know if they've ever done a study on that. I've never looked it up. But the whole of humanity is organized in that way so that we avoid discomfort as much as possible. And we have to put ourselves into uncomfortable situations, like going to the gym. You know, a couple of years ago, actually 5 years ago now, time flies by, I moved to a very small town outside of Auckland and for a month, and for, I think it was a month or a couple of weeks, that I did a total technology detox. So I wasn't using the internet, I wasn't using my phone, I wasn't calling anybody. It was just me and books, and it was incredibly challenging, especially emotionally. I did not know how challenging it would be. I cried like the first 3 days. Well, I didn't just sit there and cry, but I had moments where I just had this emotions build up and I needed to release them in some way. And you might think that's unusual, but it's not. Like, it's not just try it. Like, if you've done the artist way, a book, or I suppose a book that is a course, it's a book. It's a physical book like this. I don't have it on me. It's somewhere. But within the book, there's actually a course, and one of the exercises, one of the weeks, you have to go a week full without excuse me, hiccups. I'm okay. Without reading anything at all. And you're not allowed to engage in any media, so no TV shows, no nothing. And and I've experienced that the second time, like a week full-on detox of media. Like, I suppose the non-reading one was a lot harder than just going going off all the digital stuff because I just don't get to read. I just realized I'm not sure if I was actually recording onto my microphone, but we'll find out in the post. So, anyway, difficult things are a lot more difficult to do, but they're good for you. They're good for your brain, and they're really good for your mental health. If you don't have anything like that in your life, find something. Like, even if you just pick up a new skill, like golfing. And by the way, I tried golfing. I don't like it. It's not my thing, but try to find something that you really enjoy, but that's still really difficult. That is the best thing for your brain. But I've actually heard, that's a lie. That's not the best thing for your brain. Excuse me. I've actually heard that if you doing something that you don't like, that's really good for your brain too. Like if you really don't like crunches, for instance, doing that is good for you basically. I don't remember why, but I'll find out and I'll let you know. But yeah, discomfort is pain, and pain is how we grow. We grow from pain. And if we've never been uncomfortable, we would never make any changes. Inventions, progress, like we would never invent the dishwasher, for instance. We would never invent anything. So if you are in a situation where you are in pain or you're uncomfortable, you don't like where you're at, and you're really frustrated about it, just hold your horses. Don't blame the world. Well, you can for a minute if you like to. Like, if it's really how your boat floats, how you float your boat, if you really want to do that. But the point is, it'll be a much more productive experience for you. And it's so hard to do, especially like when you get bad news or you don't get something that you really, really wanted. Like, for instance, you don't get the job that you applied for. It's so frustrating and you want to be angry, you want to be annoyed. But just for change, just for a try. Just try not to be annoyed and see it as an opportunity instead. Or maybe, you know, as they say, God's rejection is God's protection. This is not a religious thing. It's not even a spiritual thing. I feel like it's the laws of life itself that sometimes we keep banging on a closed door, even though there's windows around us that are open that we can go through, or maybe there's another door that's a lot more beautiful, a lot more profound for us, a lot more fruitful for us, yet we just keep on banging our head against the closed door. It's like, no, I want to go there. I want to do this thing. This is what I want to do. But that thing is not actually what you expected it to be. That job that sounded so amazing might have been hell for you because the boss was crazy. There's no cute cafes around the office. You can't go anywhere for lunch. It's not my experience. Just saying. Could be someone else's experience. And maybe you wouldn't like the coworkers and the job itself. Maybe it's not at all. Like, how often have you, like, that is an experience I've had, and that is an experience a lot of people have had. Like, how often have you started a job and realized it's not at all what it was on paper? Like, they're all of a sudden they're giving you different responsibilities, and they promised you're allowed to be creative, but really it's not creativity that they want. They want something very specific. So it's okay. It's okay that when things don't go your way, because your way might be the wrong way. And your best way, the thing that's for you, still on the horizon. Excuse me. I'll try and cut that out in post. Just having a throat issue. So when you look into the void for long enough, the void stares back at you. And not many people want to look into the void. But when you do, and I'm not saying that you should, but I'm just saying as a person who has and come back through it, to let you know that we all are very similar. We're not that different as we think we are. We're all a little bit twisted. We're all a little bit crazy. We all have little insecurities, OCD moment. Like, we all have that. We're not that different. We're all human, and that's the beauty of us. We're amazing. And that fear that you have of being seen, it's not serving you. Even if you hide that fear behind something else, like, oh, I want to be seen but not too much, like, that is still control. And that's just something I've been thinking about myself, obviously. Like, that is, I will admit, this is about me and what I've been going through, especially with this podcast and my own fear of being seen, which I partially have overcome. On one side of me, I don't care. On the other side of me, I feel uncomfortable. And that's human and that's normal. So I've just come to realize that if you want to do a thing, like a creative thing, like art, you can't expect everyone to tune in. But neither can you care if anybody tunes in. Neither can you care if anybody likes your art. You shouldn't care. I actually watched David Bowie talk about that the other day, and saying that when artists start to create what is expected of them, they kind of lose their mojo. They lose their essence. They lose that creativeness, lose whatever made them them. And you have to create what's coming from you specifically. What's coming from your heart. This is the shortest, probably, podcast I have done in the history of my podcasting. But I think it's a good start. And it's the first probably proper video podcast too. So I hope that you found anything that I said useful for yourself. I hope that you found some healing in it. I wish you lots of love and light. I wish for you, mostly, more than anything, what I wish for you is to learn. Not to learn. Let me rephrase that. For it to be easy for you to respond well to when things don't go your way. I wish that for you, because like I said before, when we start to let go of control, and by let go of control, I don't mean we stop working and achieving, but when we start to slowly let go of control and allow for things to unfold as they should, not only does a life become better, but it becomes much simpler, because it's tough trying to always open doors that are closed. So that's my wish for you today. And I send love to everyone in every corner of the planet. You are amazing. You matter. And you're perfect the way you are. Even though I do wish growth and evolution for you too. You're both. And both things can be true, and that's okay. I'm very excited to be back. And I hope you are too. And for all the new people who have just tuned in, you've never heard me before, thank you so much. Not sure if I need to say this, but probably because but in the post edits, I'm planning to add, don't get mad at me, I know I talked about AI, but using it wisely. Like, I'm planning to add a little bit of animation in this video, because I think it's just boring to just watch a person talk into a microphone. So maybe we can add a little bit like AI animation, and once we have the budget for it, I'll get actual animators to add into my solo podcasts. That would be really, really cool. But don't try and reach out yet, because we don't have the budget. But once we do, we can get that going. I love you all, and that's all she wrote.